So, we're going to be talking about coaches. The Rockets fired their coach, the Sixers fired their coach, Pelicans fired their coach, Pacers fired their coach, Clippers just fired their coach. So lots of teams are looking for coaches now. So let's talk about that. Thunder is probably the team we're going to talk about first. So the Thunder are probably going to do the whole tanking thing. So they're probably going to want to draft a coach, yeah. That makes sense. No. They're going to want to hire a coach that can develop talent. So that would lead my first guess to be Kenny Atkinson, seeing what he did for the Nets and everything. But there's also some rumors that they want Brett Brown because of his connections to Sam Presti, their general manager. They were both under Popovich at one point. Brett Brown was also the director of player development in San Antonio. So I guess that would make Brett Brown a candidate. There's also some rumors that they want Nate McMillan. Something tells me that they'll want to go with like a defensive-minded coach. So that kind of, I don't know, Nate McMillan would kind of make sense there, seeing as he favors defensive guys. Let's talk about Kenny Atkinson. So obviously, he's credited with like the development of Spencer Dinwiddie, Karis LeVert, guys like that. Kenny Atkinson was also on the Nets team that was winning like 20-something games every season. So if the Thunder want to tank, I mean, it's not like Kenny Atkinson wouldn't be the guy for them, you know what I mean? Out of all the three I just named, who's the more likely? I don't know, I'd like to see Kenny Atkinson, since I would really love to see the further development of guys like Shea, Darius Baisley, Lou Dort, obviously. Now for who's the most likely? That's a tough question. So on to the Rockets. There's rumors that they really like Sam Cassell. I've also heard that they're interested in Jeff Van Gundy and Ty Lue. Now Ty Lue's interesting to talk about because a lot of people like to take away Tyronn Lue's credit for those Cavs teams saying that LeBron was basically the coach. But I mean, from what I saw, I mean, he was really making adjustments. And I mean, I don't think that's fair to do. I don't think it's fair to take away credit from Tyronn Lue at all, really. I mean, LeBron's always gonna be the coach on the floor and everything. And sometimes the coach in the locker room, too. Maybe the Miami Heat isn't an exception to that under Coach Spoelstra. I mean, I think Tyronn Lue's a pretty good coach. I mean, he's better than Budenholzer. He actually makes adjustment in the playoffs and plays his stars minutes. As for if it would be a good fit, I mean, I don't really know. It's hard for me to like remember standout moments for Tyronn Lue as a coach. It's been forever since he's like actually been a coach. Let's talk about Jeff Van Gundy. I don't know why they would necessarily want Jeff Van Gundy. I mean, he hasn't had a coaching job in like a decade. He was the coach for them at like one point. I think that was when they had like very young Yao Ming. That was forever ago. I'm trying to think who else they had on that team. Let's look at Basketball Reference. Oh, T-Mac was there. Mutombo was there. Rafer Alston, Juwan Howard, Derrick. I mean, yeah, that wasn't a very good team. They won like 30-something games or something like that. I mean, I don't remember enough about Jeff Van Gundy to like say if that's the right fit. There's really not many other rumors of like coaches that they'd want to hire. Are there any possible former NBA players that, like, maybe another guy like Steve Nash that teams just hire? Not really. I can't think of too many like former players that would make good coaches in the NBA at the moment. I mean, Steve Blake, but I don't know. I don't know if Steve Blake would want to coach. Obviously, he could. I honestly think like the best coaches are just like mediocre point guards. Like look at, Phil Jackson, Mike D'Antoni, Billy Donovan, guys like that. They didn't have like spectacular NBA careers. That's why I'm thinking Steve Blake, because he was a good player, but he was, you know, he was average. I just can't really think, because I don't think if you look at it like statistically, like Hall of Famers just do not make good coaches. Like, let's look at some recent coaches like Jason Kidd. I think we can say at this point that the Jason Kidd hiring was a mistake. He turned out to be an coach. I think the main thing for the Rockets is like, what do they need? And was Mike D'Antoni really the problem? I mean, having a 6'5" center, even in today's NBA, is, I mean, that small ball worked for the Warriors, but it obviously didn't work for the Rockets. It hasn't worked for the Rockets. I mean, Jeff Green was alright, but he's not really a center. Well, neither is PJ Tucker. And they obviously had to trade away Clint Capella for spacing for Russell Westbrook. I wonder, looking obviously in hindsight, that was probably a mistake, but I don't know, man. It's interesting. Would the Rockets be interested in Doc Rivers? I don't think so. I don't think that's where they'd want to go. Let's talk about the Pelicans. I think they're a very interesting team. The thing about the Pelicans is they like almost made the playoffs, so what I'm thinking is they're kind of just looking for a coach that can just get them to the playoffs. There's been rumors that they want Mike D'Antoni. I don't know how well that would work with the guys they have. Like, I can't see Zion Williamson like in the 7-second or less system. I don't know how that would fit. Mike D'Antoni also doesn't like big guys, hence the PJ Tucker at the starting center for the Rockets. Kenny Atkinson is also a guy the Pelicans would potentially look at, as we've talked about him previously, what he did for the Nets and helping the development of Spencer Dinwiddie and Karis LeVert. Could he help Lonzo Ball take that next jump as a player? I'd like to see it. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a Lonzo Ball fan. I'm sold on LaMelo Ball. I also think Lonzo Ball will take I'm hoping he takes a jump and is like a borderline all-star next season, and, you know, he looks like college Lonzo. Could Kenny Atkinson be the guy to take him to that level? I'd say it's possible. I also heard things about Doc Rivers. I don't know if I like that move for the Pelicans or not. I mean, they definitely need someone who can get them to the playoffs, and I think Doc Rivers is a guy who can do that. The only problem with Doc Rivers is it's obvious, like, he doesn't make adjustments in the playoffs. That's why the Clippers lost. That's why they blew, 3 20-point leads? And that was just to the Nuggets, right? I mean, he also has blown 2 3-1 leads. So, but I think for what the Pelicans just need to get to the playoffs. So I don't think it would be the worst hiring. But there's also rumors that Doc is interested in the Sixers, which I don't know. If you had the choice, would you want to coach for the Sixers or the Pelicans? I don't know. The Sixers have proved they can make it to the playoffs, so I don't know, man. I think if I was Doc, I'd be leaning more towards the Sixers. Speaking of the Sixers, that would be probably a good time to talk about them. Ime Udoka was a name at first that people were talking about. That's kind of died down. We talked about how they were interested in Doc Rivers. What would that do for the Sixers? I mean, I think you could get them pretty far into the playoffs, farther than Brett Brown got them. As far, like, we've already talked about his weakness in the playoffs and how he has a hard time adjusting. There's also rumors that Mike D'Antoni is a guy they're looking at, which, I mean, how would that work with Embiid? You know, the Rockets obviously had to move Clint Capella because of Mike D'Antoni. Well, it's more because of Russell Westbrook, but I don't know. I feel like Mike D'Antoni also had something to do with that move. So that puts Joel Embiid in a weird spot, I feel like. And Ben Simmons, he's not running point guard now. They said they're gonna run it at power forward, which I don't know. Does that put him in a weird spot too? I don't know. I don't see that as a good move for Philadelphia. I think Kevin McHale. I liked him when he was coach of the Rockets. I think they had way more success when he was the coach instead of Mike D'Antoni or who'd they have before? I can't remember. It's been too long, but yeah. I mean, as a coach, he has 417 wins and 232 losses. He's won some Coach of the Month in the Western Conference. I mean, I don't think it would be a bad move. I don't know what teams would want Kevin McHale, but I don't think it would be the Sixers. Then again, anything's possible. But I don't know. Would Kevin McHale want to be a coach again? Someone else that's interesting to talk about, David Blatt. When he was coach of the Cavs, I honestly didn't have too big of a problem with David Blatt. I actually thought he was a really good coach, you know. You got guys like Mozgov, who, I mean, he looked like he was playing out of his mind, then got that huge contract, Matthew Dellavedova. David Blatt's good for getting these, like, European players, these foreign players that just come and ball out. But, I don't know, it's been 4 or 5 years since he's had a job. So, let's get back to reality here and talk about actual coaches that are rumored. Tyronn Lue. So we've talked a little bit about Tyronn Lue. I think as far as like fit goes, I don't think Tyronn Lue's the guy for the Sixers. I don't know if he can coach Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid to that next level. Then again, could Doc really do that? There's also rumors about Dave Joerger. Now, Dave Joerger is a very, very interesting coach to talk about. I would love to see him have a job in the NBA again. You know, the Grit and Grind Grizzlies. It's a very fun team to watch. He brought them pretty deep into the playoffs. As far as fit goes, out of everyone we've talked about so far, I'm liking the fit with Dave Joerger better than I am any of these other guys. There's also rumors about Jay Wright, but I don't think that's in the realm of reality. Anyways, let's move on to the Pacers. So, according to these rumors, Pacers are interested in Dave Joerger. I don't really like that. I'd rather see Joerger go to the Sixers, but if the Sixers hire Doc or Tyronn Lue, then I think Joerger could be, I don't know. Could we see the Pacers kind of be like the Grit and Grind Grizzlies? Could that work in Indiana? I mean, they've got Miles Turner, which, I mean, he's not as good as prime Marc Gasol, but I think they can make it work. But there's also rumors that Miles Turner is getting traded to the Celtics, but I think that's just like weird Celtics rumors. Like, there's somebody in the Timberwolves chat in the NBA Discord was saying he was hearing rumors about Cat getting traded to the Celtics. Obviously, that's not happening. So I think Celtics fans, I think they just start rumors. Anyways, back to coaching. They also say they're interested in Jacques Vaughn, former coach of the Orlando Magic when they had Dwight Howard. I really like Jacques Vaughn as a coach. I don't really see him fitting in with the Pacers. I mean, I don't really know much about Jacques Vaughn, other than like obviously his time on the Orlando Magic. There's also Ime Udoka. Honestly, I don't think it's a bad move. He was a Popovich protege in San Antonio. I believe he was the assistant coach when they won in 2014 when Kawhi was the finals MVP. They're also interested in Becky Hammon, which I would love to see her coach in the NBA as the head coach. I think it would be very good. I think she's a very good X's and O's person. So yeah. But I don't know how that would work with the Pacers though. If we're gonna talk about the Pacers, we also gotta talk about the whole Oladipo situation. Depending on who they trade for Oladipo, I mean, that Dave Yeager fit could look a lot better with someone else other than Oladipo. I don't know. The Pacers are in an interesting spot. Without Oladipo, they were still like the 4th seed in the East. Sabonis took a big jump. Miles Turner's still good. Malcolm Brogdon, he's how do we feel about Malcolm Brogdon? Is he gonna get better? I feel like he's 25? 25, 26, which, I mean... So according to Basketball Reference, he's actually 27. So he's getting up there, and this is only his 4th year in the NBA. So the chances of him getting better are very slim. Still a good, solid starting point guard. Gives you a lot off the bench. Could you package him in with an Oladipo trade? I mean, you'd probably get way better value than if you were just straight up trading Oladipo, but then that would leave you with a hole at the point guard position. Because Aaron Holiday is not ready to step into the starting point guard on a playoff team. Like, he's just not ready for that. He's still very raw. But I have high hopes for Aaron Holiday. I don't think he'll be as good as like Drew or anything, but I think he could be a starter on a playoff team. Not yet, though. Not yet. I think he needs a couple more years ahead of him. Yeah, I don't really know. I didn't watch many Pacers game. Like I said yesterday, I didn't watch any of the Pacers versus Heat because I think we all knew how that series was going, unless you were like a diehard Pacers fans. So I don't really know. I didn't think Nate McMillan was that bad of a coach, but obviously they thought otherwise. I'd say if Dave Yeager doesn't get the Sixers job, I'd like to see him coach the Pacers or Becky Hammon. So yeah, that's about it. See ya.